Good afternoon. Welcome to Afternoon Chat. I'm your host, Ghost Mostly. How's everybody doing today? I've had a semi-productive morning. Okay. I put my apartment back together. I had a kitchen sink leak. All right. The drain just all of a sudden decided to drain underneath the sink. I didn't coax it. It did it all on its own. Okay. But it has been repaired. The chat's up and running. If anybody wants to jump in there, you're more than welcome. Lighting has been adjusted. I'm wearing an overshirt today. It's going to be a good day. Yeah, I even shaved. It'll probably be the only time this week. But I did. So what's on your mind? What do you guys want to talk about? Afternoon Chat is an open chat room. Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A 100% free channel. No rules, can talk about whatever you want to talk about. The people that populate the chat are the stars of the show. In order to chat, you need to go to YouTube and download the Discord app. Once you've got the Discord app, you're free to chat as much as you like. The only real rules are follow the community guidelines that we use for YouTube. YouTube's established community guidelines. We don't want to get into trouble with YouTube. It's the only platform that we're on. Okay. Let's not piss off the boss. Okay. I think it's going to be a nice, easy going day. I'm feeling pretty positive since my apartment's been put back together. Okay. Yes, God bless maintenance. They're good guys. Ghost Mostly is an alias that I used to use when I was writing song lyrics, music lyrics. I just simply pushed it forward to this project because I liked it. It's got a nice ring to it. I created Ghost Mostly Media. This show is free. There's no sponsors. There's no commercials. No mid-roll ads. None of that. All you got here is me. I've invited you into my living room to have a conversation. Please conduct yourself accordingly. Whatever that means. Yeah, this channel is no longer listed as being suitable for children. Okay. We are in the category of people in blogs. That's probably the wrong category. I don't know. We'll find out eventually. Okay. All this stuff will come out in the wash. Yeah, we had no issues with yesterday's stream at all. There was no buffering that I saw. I didn't get any error messages on my computer or anything. So I think that problem has also been solved. While this is a free show, I do need you to like and subscribe. I guess that will help the algorithm as far as determining who to put us in front of. Well, I just changed that setting on the weekend, so it could take YouTube a couple of weeks to sort us out again. Hopefully, it won't take them too long. But I'm going to be here. I don't feel guilty at all for not having people in the chat. Okay. It's a free show. And anyone that wants to get in the chat, you could be the guest star. Okay. I'm just a ghost. I'm barely here. Okay. I'm just going to fade into the background. What's on your mind today? What do you guys want to talk about? This week I'm self-censoring myself from the news. I have zero news intake this week. Okay. That's how I stay sane. You can only get bombarded with so much negative information. Eventually, you got to draw a line in the sand and say, nah, I'm going to take a week off. Okay. You can't let this stuff stress you out. Well, I'll probably get updated on the week's news on Friday. I'm going to lunch with my best friend, so he'll clue me in. Okay. I'm in Michigan. The center of the universe. Southwest Michigan. That's where all the cool guys hang out. Okay. Yes, they smoke cigarettes. And yes, my after chat bowl's already loaded. Well, after sitting still, excuse me for coughing. After sitting still for 2 hours. After the show's over, my routine is I put the living room back together and smoke a bowl and go for a walk, get some fresh air, clear my mind. Well, without you guys in the chat directing the conversation, there's no telling what rabbit holes I'm going to go down in the next 2 hours. Okay. Truth be known, I'm relying on you guys for topics. Especially in a week like this where I'm not watching the news. I haven't even been watching the sports, so I don't even know who's playing football on Thursday night. Well, I know the Lions' schedule, so I know that we're playing Tampa Bay on Monday night. I say we're, like I'm playing. Well, I'd get hurt out there. I'm an old man. But yeah, we're playing Tampa Bay Friday night, or Monday night, on Monday Night Football. I think it'll be a good game. Well, Detroit hasn't lost 2 games in a row in several years now. In this case, several meaning 3. But I'm expecting a much better game than we saw last week. Well, number one, we got different officials. All right. Last week, crooks are going to be working some other game. Okay. Yeah, I rewatched the game and I saw plenty of penalties that could have been called on Kansas City. Plenty. I don't know why they didn't bother to call them. They started to call a penalty on Kansas City, and then they picked up the flag and shrugged it off, said, oh, well, okay. I think these referees that we had last week were somewhat biased. That whole rule that they came up with about the quarterback having to get set, they called back a touchdown over that, and it's absurd. I could research it, but all it'd do is piss me off. Once that quarterback pulls back from being under center and goes into motion, he's no longer the quarterback. Hello? It's the same thing when the tight end pulls back and leaves his position and goes into motion. Is he eligible? Yes. Does he have to go get reset at a different position? No. Their whole rule is absurd. Makes no sense. What position was he supposed to get set in? Feel free to jump in the chat and straighten me out. He doesn't have to get set. He was already set. He was under center. Once he stepped out and went into motion, he was no longer a quarterback. He was an eligible receiver. End of story. I don't care how much they want to bend over backwards to create some absurd rule. That rule only applies to quarterbacks, or does that apply to a wide receiver that starts out in a slot but then goes into motion? Where's he supposed to get set at? He doesn't have to get set. He was already set. I'm sorry, it's absurd. Pardon me. I'm still on my Dr. Pepper. I haven't gotten to my Gatorade yet, but it's handy. Some of these officials, they just seem to have their own agenda. And I believe that the one that took this touchdown off the books, I believe that call came from New York City, which means that, the league is then involved. It's bunk. watch the Thursday night game. Watch how many people go into motion and how many of them have to get reset before the play can go off. I see them do all kinds of weird shit, but this was just absurd. I'm also looking at the way they're spotting the ball. And was that man out of bounds or not? Did the clock need to stop or not? Well, I think if you want to improve on football, you need full-time referees that are held accountable for their actions. It just seems absurd to me that a multi-billion-dollar corporation is surviving with part-time employees. Okay. It makes no sense at all. I see other corporations doing dumb moves, but what the NFL is doing it's absurd. I think that they're not accountable. And I'm starting to wonder now, are the refs betting on the games? You've got to wonder. Anyone that can think it through is going to think this is absurd. I saw enough flags that could have been thrown that it could have been, 5 penalties on each team in that last Lions game. It could have been. It wasn't. It was 5 penalties against one team and none against the other. But it could have been 5 and 5 if the game would have been called fairly. Everything from false starts to pass interferences that were never called. Feel free to jump in the chat and change the subject. Okay. I'll talk to you about anything you want. That's what this channel is all about. Is I want to meet people. I want to talk to people. I want to find out what's on their mind. Personal opinion is the only thing I can offer. My personal opinion was the officiating on the Lions' last football game sucked. Okay. There's not a nicer way to put it, in my opinion. All right. So, what are your plans for this week? What do you guys got going on? I'm going to Olive Garden for lunch on Friday. And I'll be watching Thursday night football with Tom Grossi on Thursday night. Tonight, I have no plans. Well, I am going to have fried chicken for dinner. Okay. Well, I don't know what I buy for groceries this week. I had chicken for 2 days, ham for 2 days, hot dogs for 2 days, and I left one day open. My favorite is the hot dogs. The probably the worst for you, you know. It's comfort food to me, you know. One of my favorite meals. I know it's simple and it's processed meats, which are supposed to be bad for you. Anything can be bad for you. All right. As long as you stay, it's my belief. All right. Let me disclaimer here. It is my belief that anything you want to try in life in moderation should be okay. Anything that you take to an extreme should be detrimental. Okay. If I eat hot dogs 2 days a week, I don't think it's that bad. But if I were to eat hot dogs 7 days a week, that would be to an extreme. That would probably inevitably turn out to be detrimental to my health. But I think as long as I exercise a modicum of restraint, okay, I can still have what I want as long as I keep it within moderate. It's the same thing as putting sugar in your coffee. You put 1 spoon of sugar in your coffee, you're probably fine. But if you put a pound of sugar in your coffee, you could be causing yourself some health issues down the road, right? Don't let it get to that extreme category. As long as you're in a moderate category, you should be okay. I do get a little feedback about my smoking. Okay. Most people don't realize. Do you realize that the tobacco companies actually own the food producers? I don't know if producers is the right word. I'm talking about Kraft Foods, Nabisco, names you know. Do you realize they're owned by the tobacco companies? Okay. Yeah. You think they made cigarettes addictive? What do you think they've done with your Cheerios? Okay. They put all kinds of crap in our food supply to make it just as addicting as cigarettes. The one that always jumps to my mind. Well, there's two that always jump to my mind. High fructose corn syrup and MSG, monosodium glutamate. Yeah, it's in that crap's in everything. I think if you eat it in moderation, you're probably going to survive. You're probably going to be okay. But I think if you take it to an extreme level, it's probably going to prove to be detrimental to your health in the long run. And I don't care whether that's high fructose corn syrup or MSG or tobacco or hot dogs or, well, the hot dogs got nitrates in them, you know. You can probably survive for a little while as long as you're in moderation. Anything you do to excess could prove detrimental in the long run. Oh, it's hot in here today. Well, I got my heat on. Okay. That's why it's hot. Well, it's cooler outside, so the heat kicks on. I'll cool off when I go for my walk later. It's not that big a deal. So, what do you guys think of the show? What do you guys want to do with the show? I'm going to give the people in the chat are going to have a lot of control over what this show does. They're going to just determine what we talk about, and within reason, they're going to adjust the hours of this show. Even though it's going to remain free, I'm going to let the people in the chat tell me what they want. Go figure. If there's ever been a place where your opinion is going to matter, it's going to be here in this show. Afternoon chat was not designed to make money. It was not designed to be profitable. Ghost Mostly Media, I would like that to be profitable someday, but not off of this show. YouTube gave me 2 channels, and I created this show. I created this show because I liked open chat rooms that we used to have back in the day. I enjoyed them. Sometimes we listened to music. Sometimes we talked about kids. Sometimes inflation. Sometimes government. We had all kinds. The topics changed several times in a given day. I like that. I think that keeps you mentally sharp. Okay. Right now, this show can be boring, only talking about what enters my mind. Yeah, I'm coughing because of all the damn cigarettes I smoked yesterday. Oh, I was out of control. I was almost chain smoking. Almost. I slowed down a little bit in the evening last night. But when I don't have anything to do, I smoke. Well, I don't normally smoke until after the show because I'd like to keep my mind clear and be able to participate in the show. If I were to smoke prior to the show, I'd just sit here, hallucinate, or there's no telling what I could think of to talk about. It could get ugly. Well, you think this week is something? Wait till next week when I'm watching the news again. I'll probably find another dozen new rabbit holes to go down. Okay. The show's getting views. The subscriber count is climbing. Slow but sure. We're getting there. YouTube has got some tiers that I got to reach. I have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 viewing hours before I get monetized. Once I get monetized, I'll start doing other projects and producing videos and branch out with the company, with Ghost Mostly Media, LLC. That will branch out. This show will always stay the same. No sponsors, no commercials, no hustle. There's very few shows like this on TV. And I mean very few. Tom Grossi does the one without any sponsors. And I respect him for it. Well, he's got other avenues that he can make money on. He's been monetized for a number of years now. And he does, acting and script writing and film editing and, all of that. Very talented young man, in my opinion. That's why I watch him. I'm just a fan of his shows. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with everything anybody says. I have my own opinions. Don't we all? I mean, that's why I've got this chat open. This is not subscribers only. This is wide open. There's no restriction on there. You can get in there and talk. It's actually going to go the other way. I'm probably going to be more protective of the people in the chat. I want them to be able to voice their opinion. I want to know what's on their mind. If this show was all about me, I wouldn't have used an alias. Okay. If I was trying to get famous, no, if I was trying to get famous, I'd have gone a lot different direction. Okay. Well, if you want to start a podcast and make it successful, one of the easiest ways to go is to invite people on to your podcast. This podcast is just starting, but if think of all the notoriety I could get if I could get like Kim Kardashian to come on and do an interview. Well, I mean, that to me it would be a marketing ploy, right? This show isn't about that. I could get people in here and interview them. I could ask them all kinds of tough questions. But that's not what this show's about. This show is about the people that get into the chat, okay? This is their show. And I don't want to put a thumb on the scale and say, oh, we have to talk about this or we have to talk about that. I don't care what we talk about. I enjoy the freedom that this show gives me right now. I can talk about anything I want. The problem is I don't want to sit here and talk about politics every day and make this a politics show. I don't want to sit here and talk about gambling every day. Make this a gambler show, I have no interest. I have no interest in pushing this channel in any one direction other than to the people in the chat. I think they have a right to voice their opinion, to have their opinion heard. To me, that's what matters. Let the little guy talk. Oh, it's, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. Go on. Who's on now? I suppose Don Lemon is on. The Majority Report might still be on. You can go on these shows and try to have a conversation. It's not going to work. They've got an agenda. Their show has got a direction that is not centered on the people in the chat. That's why there's no topic here. I don't care what we talk about. I prefer not to know. Okay? Surprise me. I got no issues with that. You guys can talk about whatever you want. I pick the hours that fit with my schedule. Oh, Tom Crossy. I just got a notification from Tom. He just put a video out. Okay. I'll check it later after dinner. Excuse me. And to me, I want the chat to be the stars, and you can guest star 5 days a week if you'd like. Come on every day. Voice your opinion every day. Until that chat gets populated, we're limited in what we can do. But once the chat gets populated, we can put up polls and find out what people got on their mind, what they want to talk about. What are your priorities? No, I'm probably going to switch off a Spectrum internet. I don't know. I'm looking into T-Mobile right now. Well, I want to know the particulars of their $35 a month for 5 years promotion. You got to read the fine print. You just can't, jump into something. Well, when you jump into something, a lot of times you get taken somewhere you don't want to go. Okay. You can't just trust these corporations nowadays. They're not legit. They make you think they are legit, but they're not. Well, a corporation's designed to make money. That's what their goal is. And some of these corporations have no morals. They have no ethics. I have morals. I have ethics. I think you have both as well. Personal opinion. I got no proof. That's just my opinion. Most of the people I meet and I see in my life are just normal people. They're honest. They're compassionate, kind. I think we have values that are important. I think that incorporating your business is a sound move, but I don't think it gives you the right to cheat people. And that's what I see a lot of corporations doing, is they're cheating people. I think that, this channel will eventually build a community of like-minded people. That have morals, that have ethics. They do have their heads screwed on straight. Okay. I don't care what people say about me, right? They can talk shit all they want, but it's not going to affect my self-esteem, not going to affect my morals. It's not going to affect my ethics. I'm not hustling anybody for anything other than, a conversation. And, I try to keep it 100 all the time. Once in a while, I get things wrong. I'm human. I'm flawed, just like most people. When I make a mistake, I admit it. Well, I just told you I made a mistake for the first 6 weeks of this show. I had it listed as yes, available for kids. I didn't know that would make YouTube only market me to kids. Okay. I had no idea. Live and learn. I learned that lesson. I went into the settings. I changed it. And we're moving forward. Okay. That when you make a mistake, you own up to it, you correct it, and you move forward. That's life. I don't care what you're doing. That's life. Doesn't matter what country you live in. Normal people, that's how we improve. That's how we get better, right? That's the progress that enables us to grow as people and improve on ourselves. I made a lot of improvements on myself, since past the age 18, right? I've improved a lot over the years. At 18, I was quite immature, very rash. I made, snap decisions without thinking about them, without thinking about the consequences of my actions. Made quite a few poor choices in my youth. I don't make that many mistakes anymore. I don't make rash decisions anymore. Well, look at Ghost Mostly Media. Most guys would create that and they would start posting videos and trying to make money right away. I got to get to the 4,000 viewing hours. It doesn't have to be off of this show. But yet this show's the only thing I'm running. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to take my time. I'll get to where I need to be eventually. If you got to drive across town You can't just jump in your car and punch it up to 100 and go. You've got to go slow, follow the traffic laws, and, you've got to fit in. Not everybody has the same priorities that you do. Years ago, when I first moved to Nevada, if you got out of town in the state of Nevada and you were just out driving around, there was no posted speed limit. You were allowed to go as fast as road conditions would allow. So you could drive by a state trooper doing 110 miles an hour. He never batted an eye. If it was raining and you were trying to do 110, he might pull you over and say, "Hey, are you stupid? It's raining. You better slow down if you wish to stay alive," right? I think it was the late 70s, early 80s. Back then, most of the highways were 55 mile an hour max. And the federal government came to the state of Nevada and said, "Listen, if you want your highway funds, you're going to have to post and enforce a speed limit." And that's what they did. It was kind of nice not having a posted speed limit. I got to say, I liked it. Okay. Depended on how far you had to travel and what you felt safe driving at, what speeds. I think the fastest I ever drove was probably 120. But I have no desire for that kind of speed now. But when I was young, it was cool. It was fun. Okay. Very exciting. I remember I had a friend that had a Corvette, and my oldest son had just turned 16. And I wanted to take him up to the mountains to go hiking. And I think we were doing, I'd say probably 80, 90 mile an hour going up the mountain. The 16-year-old birthday boy, he liked it. He had fun. I think he liked the fact that it was a Corvette too. I always bought the boring family car. I never bought the sports car. So riding in one of those was a treat for either of my sons. That wasn't my cup of tea. I was the family oriented, build for a future kind of guy. I was a wild child, but I was basically a conservative. I had children. I was building for a future. I think you could be a wild conservative. I was. I did not like people trying to tell me what to do. Okay, at all. I loved breaking rules. Yeah, I did. I was good at it too. I broke a lot of rules. Pissed my parents off. Well, those were dad's rules, not mine. Okay. I still give him a hard time to this day about his rules. He takes it better now than he used to. A lot better. I enjoy my time with my father now, and I get to explain to him my perspective of what went down in the past. And he explains what his perspective was, and we compare notes. It's quite interesting and can get downright hilarious from time to time. He's 87. Gets around better than I do. Being different generations, we had different priorities and we were at different points in our life. When I was 18, 19, 20, I thought I was indestructible. And I also thought I was right every time. And spoiler alert, I was not. Okay. But in my defense, neither was my father correct every time. Sometimes he was right, sometimes I was right. I think it's interesting the dynamic between the age differences when you sit and compare them. Well, look at a 20-year-old nowadays. I don't think a 20-year-old nowadays would be content with the same things in his life that my father was content with when he was 20. Technology has made a large difference, but the younger generation, they're, I don't know what you call them now, I guess the alphas. They have a different list of priorities. Well, one of them might be home ownership. In my father's day, he had to own a home. A 20-year-old nowadays, I don't think they're interested in owning a home per se. They might get there someday, but right now, I don't think. Well, why would a 20-year-old want to take on $400,000 in debt to buy a home? What's his advantage? That home equity that he would gain, that's 20 years down in his future. It's not tangible now. He wants tangible, right? If he's doing something that's not tangible now, he's more likely to put his money in Bitcoin. Okay, he could see that as just a valued investment, as my father did buying a home at age 20. And who's to say that the younger is wrong? You don't know what Bitcoin's going to be in 20 years. I don't know. Different generations have different perspectives for looking at similar issues. A 20-year-old that plans to travel the globe, why would he want to buy a home in Michigan like he's planning to stay here the rest of his life? Different set of priorities, a different set of values. As well as a different means of getting to, I guess, what my father would have determined to be financial security. I don't want to own a home because I don't want to maintain a home. My father takes great pride in mowing his lawn. I take great pride in not owning a lawnmower. I take great pride in not having to mow the lawn every 10 days all summer long. It's another chore. I have no desire for another chore. Okay. I got enough chores. Owning a house and maintaining a house are two totally different things. Totally different, in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with home ownership if that's what you want. It's a responsibility I don't care to shoulder. Well, if you own a home, you must maintain it, or your investment goes right down the tubes. You buy the house, you've got to maintain it. You've got to insure it. You've got to care for it. Right? That equity you gain over that 20 years of ownership, it ain't free. You pay for that with your time and your money. Well, let's say you bought a house and your yearly property taxes, which are due, every year, they have to be paid. I think by the time you get 3 years in arrears on those taxes, they'll actually steal your home from you and sell it at auction, okay, and not give you the profit, not give you the difference. Whereas the renter doesn't have to worry about those property taxes. I don't have to maintain my apartment. I have to clean it. But when the sink breaks, I call the office. Maintenance comes by and fixes it. My responsibility, I had to thank the manager for her prompt and adequate repair. Okay. I asked her, please come get it fixed. And I told her, thank you for fixing it so promptly. I appreciate that. That was my responsibility. Whereas a homeowner whose sink breaks, you got to fix it. Nobody else has to. You have to. Okay. Different generations have different priorities. And I don't think the youngest generation that is up and coming, I don't think they want, well, to buy a house and take on $400,000 worth of debt that has to be paid over the next 30 years. While at the same time they're maintaining and improving on the property. I don't think it interests them in the least. And I can understand why. But my father doesn't. Okay. Why wouldn't that 20-year-old want to buy a home? Why wouldn't he want to settle down? No. Different priorities for different generations, in my opinion. Feel free to jump in the chat and disagree with me. Feel free to tell me where I'm wrong. I look forward to it. I can't say that my way of thinking is right, and I can't say that your way of thinking is wrong. I just don't want the responsibility of maintaining the property myself. I'm not a handy guy. I can't fix anything. I don't have tools, okay? I don't have the knowledge to use the tools. And what's even worse is I don't want the knowledge. A lot of people believe that a college education is the key to your future. I don't see that. To me, a trade school has more value than a conventional college degree. Trade school, you learn and you go to work and you make money right away. The education, well, I knew a girl took 7 years to get a master's degree in economics, and her first job out of college paid $30,000 a year. A waste, if you ask me. Took her 7 years to get the master's. And there's no way that she could have been happy at a job that only paid 30 grand a year. I don't even know how she could pay off her student loans. Okay. if you're going to go get a 4-year education, a bachelor's degree, let's say, it better be in a field that's going to pay you a minimum of $200,000 a year. Let's think about it. What's your college tuition run now in one of, let's say, the University of Michigan? I would guesstimate, and this is just a guess, I would guesstimate that college tuition is probably about $35,000 to $40,000 a year. That's before your books, your housing, your meal. That's just for the tuition. 40 grand a year for 4 years. Now all of a sudden you get that bachelor's degree and you're $160,000 in debt. How much do you need to make a year so that you can pay off the $160,000? Are you going to be paying that off for 4 years, or are you going to be paying it off for 14 years? The math isn't there. Whereas you might be able to get into a trade school for like, I don't know, let's just call it 10 grand. You go to trade school for 6 months. Now you're on the job and you're making, let's just say, $75,000 a year. How long is it going to take you to pay off the 10 grand? A couple of years. I know that there are other instances. I know I'm not, stating all the facts. I'm just saying that to me, the trade school seems the smarter way to go. It gets you the education that you need, and it gets you out into the workforce right away with the least amount of debt. Personal opinion. Feel free to jump in the chat and tell me where I'm wrong. I invite you every day, 5 days a week. Afternoon chat, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Voice your opinion. Pardon me. To me, the choices you make and the amount of debt that you take on are some of the most important choices you'll have in your lifetime. If you go on a first date, okay, with a potential spouse that you might have kids with and lived your whole life with, right? I think one of the first 3 questions out of your mouth should be, how much unsecured debt do you have? I'd want to know that on the first date. My personal opinion, I would want to know, how much unsecured debt do you have? Your car, your house, those are secured debts. Unsecured debts, credit cards, student loans. I think these are pertinent questions. Well, probably the first thing I'd ask a woman on a date is, are you a good liar? How they answer that question is going to determine the next few questions. But are you a good liar? How much unsecured debt do you have? Those are my top two. Okay. Personal opinion. Okay. I don't consider myself to be a good liar. And I have no unsecured debt. Zero. Okay. But you get my point. The choices that you make and the amount of debt that you're willing to sign up for have ramifications that last years. So you might want to watch yourself. Okay. You don't spend more than you can afford to spend. Live within your means. I noticed a lot of that. People living beyond their means. There's a lot of people in America, anyways, that have what I call a shopping fetish. Okay, it turns them on to go buy crap. They get excited about it, and to me, I don't have the materialistic bug anymore. I think I outgrew it. I don't have the same. Well, look at this overshirt I got on. Okay, it's probably, I don't know, 5 years old. I could be more fashion conscious. Yes, I could dress better. But I don't have a fetish to go shopping and get all the latest trends. I have no interest in that. I got a shirt. That's all I need. Okay. I don't care if it's 5 years old. I'm sure I got shirts in my closet that are 20 years old. If it's a functioning shirt, I'm happy. Okay. I don't need to look cool anymore. I understand that you got a fashion sense. I think most people do. It's just not a priority for me. No, different priorities, different ages, different times in my life. It's, to me, it's a pendulum. If you're, let's say you're just getting ready to have children, I'm sure your priorities are completely different from someone like myself who has children that are fully grown and responsible adults. My perspective is going to be totally different than yours, I'm sure. And I think that's real interesting. When I'm dealing with my father and I'm dealing with my youngest son, who's 28, I compare the two. I can see some similarities, but I can also see some differences. Well, my young son has both a cat and a dog. My father wouldn't own a pet if his life depended on it. Okay. He's not going to care for an animal, and he's definitely not going to pick up their crap. Okay. To his generation, owning a dog or a cat was totally different. The difference is like night and day. Okay. Interesting topics you guys got me talking about today. Feel free to jump in the chat and change the topic. Okay. You're more than welcome. I created this show so I could find out about you guys, find out your opinion, your priorities, what's on your mind. I already know what's on my mind. Okay. I don't want to put a thumb on the scale and say, oh, we have to talk about this. But without people in the chat, we're going to fall victim to me being me. And, well, thank you for following the way in which my mind has drifted today. Okay. Well, I'm not watching the news. I don't know the current events right now. Self-censorship. It was all my idea. Okay. My need to know level today, this week, it's not that high. Okay. I don't need to know what's going on in the whole world. I need to know what's going on in my apartment. Okay. In my little corner of the world. That's what concerns me today. Next week, I'll be watching news. I'll be aware of current events. And I'll have opinions on those current events. And I'll be willing to share them. Provided you jump into the chat and ask me about them. But not this week. I got no problems with self-censorship. I got problems if other people try to censor what I intake. But not when I censor it. Well, pardon me. These news outlets, the corporate media, they pump a bunch of negative crap into your brain. Whether you want it or not, it's a steady stream of negative. I don't have the time in my life to take on more negativity today. Maybe next week, but not this week. I'm not listening to it. I don't want to know. Yeah, the whole world has problems, and they're going to have the problems even when I'm not in it. The problems don't go away. I like controlling my environment. And my environment this week is blocking out all the news. Not one particular channel, all of them. Okay. I don't want to know. Not this week. I heard enough bunk last week to know I needed to take this week off. Okay. Self-preservation, right? Protect yourself. personal opinion. You're welcome to voice yours, but that's my opinion. I'm protecting myself this week from negative influences. The government shut down. That was the last I heard. Okay. And that's when I said, I've heard enough. Okay. Time out. I don't need any more of that bunk. I understand there are other perspectives people want to know. I respect that. But my need to know level this week is low. It's a matter of self-preservation. You want me to get concerned about the government being shut down? I probably will be next week. If it's still shut down, I'll probably be very concerned about it next week. But I can't let it stress me out this week because I need to stay sane. Okay. I find it very interesting that self-censorship is my way of me taking care of my mental health. I mean, think about that. As a young man, I used to go out and, I would do something physical, try to burn off some steam, find a release somewhere. As an older man, I'd just soon block it off. Turn it, no thanks. I don't need to know that this week. Okay. Maybe that's why the ostrich buries his head in the sand. He just doesn't want to take in any more info. I'm hoping that this show is appearing to be reliable and stable, and you guys can believe that it's going to be here again tomorrow. That's what I'm hoping, right? I want to be putting out a product that is reliable, that's dependable. And I know we've had some, mechanical connectivity issues and whatnot, I'm trying to be open and upfront about them and correct them as quickly as I can. And I got some different lighting issues going on now. I'm looking at the light on my face. Okay. I have some brightness going on this side. Well, I burned out a light bulb yesterday. I replaced it with what I had in the house, and it's not the same. Well, the other one was, one of them softer light bulbs than this one, I guess. I'll probably go out to the store on Saturday and change the light bulb then. Okay. Probably. This is not a contract we're establishing here. I'm not guarantee you that I'm willing to go out on Saturday. It was just a running thought. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to work on my posture. Trying. Can't say that I'm succeeding, but I am trying. Well, if you guys ain't getting in the chat, I don't have to wear my glasses. Now I can't read the screen. I just get tired of seeing the reflection in them. The computer screen reflects off the glasses. I only wear the glasses to see. I don't wear them to be cool. No. My days of trying to be cool ended, I don't know, a couple of decades ago. I try to be legitimate. I try to be honest. I try to be open. I don't try to be cool. Nowadays, if it doesn't happen naturally, it's probably not going to happen. Okay. I don't have any control over a lot of things. The few things that I do have control over, I try to do a good job. And I'm trying to do a good job with this show. Well, hopefully we'll find people that want to talk between 3 and 5 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time. Okay. I try to keep it nice and mellow in here. You know, there's no telling what we could be talking about. Well, right now, the only thing that's been on my mind is what I've been talking about. Hopefully, things will improve and we'll get more people in here. We get views. People jump in, they jump out. But nobody's been chatting this week. But I don't know who YouTube has got us in front of this week either. Maybe we're only recommended to the people that don't have a cell phone. Well, if you got a landline, you're not going to be able to download the Discord app to chat, right? I enjoy meeting and talking to people, and I'm not going to give up on this. I've told myself I'll do this for 3 years in an honest attempt to build a community of people that want to chat. I'm not marketing. I'm not on any of the other platforms that all the other shows are on. they're all on X and Twitch and Facebook and all these social media sites, and they advertise all on there in order to populate their chat. I'm not willing to do that. Well, if I were to do that, I'd have to hire a social media director and get somebody that's interested in doing that crap. I have no desire. The only one that I want to be on is YouTube. I don't go on X. I don't go on Instagram or TikTok or any of them. I have no desire for that. It's okay if you guys want to do that stuff, but I have no desire for it. If it takes 3 years to build a chat community, so be it. Okay. I don't care. I don't know. I'd probably close my Facebook page probably, I don't know, somewhere around the pandemic. I got fed up with it. Personal opinion. You may enjoy Facebook. I didn't, you know. I had, I don't know, 150 friends or something on there, and I just up and canceled it. Well, they pissed me off. Originally, when I had signed up for it, I had put my phone number in there. And then years later, when I determined I don't want my phone number on there, they wouldn't let me delete it. And I'm like, well, I'll just delete the whole thing. And what do you know? Half my spam calls went away. Go figure. Well, all of these social media sites are selling your information. Any bit of info that they can glean from you, they're turning around and selling. And they're not cutting you in. And yet it's your data that they're stealing and selling. If YouTube wants to sell my data, they don't have to pay me. But why would I want to tie in 5 other social media outlets and give them more data to sell? What's in it for me? No thanks. I feel differently about it. I don't want to do that. I have no desire to give them more data on me. Maybe they should have come up with a better business model and compensated me every time they sold my data. I'm just saying. To me, that would make more sense. It's like they're mining our data, but they don't have to pay anything for what they're getting. They're getting something for free and then turning around and reselling it. That's the way I see it. You may see it differently. And I'd invite you to jump in the chat and tell me. Okay. Anytime you'd like. I can't see it any other way, though. From my perspective, one guy sitting on one end of his couch. That's the way I see it. I don't know why some of these corporations come up with the business models that they have. They make no sense. I think in many aspects it boils down to financial rape of their own customer base. I was talking to Crumbelina the other day, and she was interacting with a dentist, and she went in first thing in the morning because she was in pain, didn't have an appointment. They treated her, she left. Later the same day, she came back into the dental office, still in pain. Didn't solve the problem. They told her, oh, we can only see you once in a day. Then they lied to her and told her that's state law. No. They can only bill your insurance company for one visit in one day. I'll believe that. What do I glean from that whole story? I glean that this is a dental office that doesn't care about their patients. They don't care that she's in pain. That's what I glean from that. What do you glean from that story? They'd already billed her. But their treatment did not alleviate her problem. Which tells me that their degree of care does not meet my minimum standards. Okay. Personal opinion. That's all I can offer you. When you take in information, what do you glean from it? Right? They're lying to her and telling her, oh, it's state law. We can only see you once a day. No, it's not. That's not state law. If you go to the emergency room and in the morning you had a car wreck and they check you out and they say, oh, you're good to go. Then you go out and you get in another car wreck. Can you not go to the emergency room? Bunk. That's bullshit. That's corporate speak for get out of here until you hand me more money. Okay. Yeah, no. That's not real. They made it up. You want to hear some corporate speak? Go into McDonald's at 11 o'clock in the morning and try to get breakfast. They've got the food. They're just refusing to make it. Okay. You're going to get a whole bunch of corporate speak. I'll tell you another one with McDonald's. Try to get them to put lettuce on your fish sandwich. You can try. Oh, yeah, they sell salad. They have lettuce there. There's lettuce on the Big Mac. Try to get it on your fish sandwich. Okay. You're going to hear a whole lot of corporate speak that day. And it ain't going to get you no lettuce on your fish sandwich. It's not going to happen. Because their corporation is a bunch of idiots. We decided how to make money. And what we decided is the law. There's no other way to make money. Would you be willing to pay for lettuce on your fish sandwich? Perhaps. Are they willing to charge you money to put lettuce on your fish sandwich? No. Okay. I'm telling you, this is opening a whole line of corporate speak that is you're not going to get anywhere. You'll be wasting your day. And I'm not trying to get you to go into McDonald's and speak to the manager and rake him over the coals. But I'm telling you that corporation made that decision 40 years ago, and they're not willing to change it for you or any of their customers. Ta-da! Another corporate screw up. Okay. In my opinion, go to a mom and pop restaurant that's not a chain, and you can almost always get your own way. But if you go to the corporation, your way will not work here. We can only make money one way, and that's the corporate way. Okay. There's a million different instances of this throughout life. And it's all bunk. You're the customer. You should be able to get whatever you want, especially when they have it. If they don't have it, I can understand them saying, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. I had a similar instance the other day. Well, I say the other day. Earlier this year, I had my oldest son and my granddaughter in town, and we wanted to go out to a restaurant. I call to make a reservation, and the restaurant says, we don't accept reservations. Yes, you do. Okay. You accept reservations whether you realize it or not. This was a big chain. I mean, huge. I'll tell you, Texas Roadhouse. They don't accept reservations. That's their standard corporate line. Do they accept reservations? Yes, they do. But they tell you, no, they don't. They put it in the wrong category. Okay. Corporate speak. Okay. They have a queue. If 100 people are lined up at their door, they will take their name and they put those people in the queue. And when their name comes up in the queue, they get in. What's another word for their queue? Oh, a reservation. Well, there's a difference. Those people are on property. No, they're not. They're not. You can get in that queue without being on their property. I know, I did. Okay. I got in the queue by talking to someone different on the phone. Someone that works for the corporation but doesn't know their corporate speak. Okay. Can you put me in the queue 7 o'clock tonight? No problem. I get there at 6:50. There's people lined up all over outside the place waiting to get their table. They're all in the queue too. Well, I got in that queue at noon. Okay. They accept reservations. They just don't know that they accept reservations because of corporate speak. Okay. It's stupid. I go to another restaurant the very next day. And the process is somewhat similar. I just happen to know the owner of that one. Do they accept reservations? No. The waitress that answered the phone told me, no, we don't accept reservations. I'm like, oh, okay. Can you go back and speak to the owner? Tell him that Ghost wants a table. Right. My reservation was made. Okay. I even got to pick the table. Okay. These corporations put up their rules with their corporate speak. They have no idea what they're doing. They went to college. They don't have real life experience. Real life experience would tell you the man that's paying the check makes the rules. Okay. That's common sense. My money spends anywhere. Do you get it? All right. Enough of that rabbit hole. I gotta move on. I could go on for hours and hours on this. I've been doing this my whole life. I like to get my own way, whether your corporation likes it or not. Okay. All right. The way I normally wind down the show here, we got like 11 minutes left here. The way I normally wind down the show is I've been talking to people about my philosophy of live and let live. I did not invent it. Okay. I stole it. I stole it because it works. Okay. It's a good idea to live and let live. Allow your neighbors to be different than you are. And what will happen will be that your neighbors will allow you to be different than they are. Your neighbor has no right to tell you how to live your life. Once you close your front door, their comments are falling on deaf ears, right? They have no right to control your life. They can't tell you what kind of gas to put in your car. They can't tell you what time to eat dinner. It's none of their business. What if you want to have breakfast for dinner? It's none of their business. On the same token, you can't control your neighbor. It's none of your business what he does with his life. He or she. I don't mean to sound so misogynistic. I'm really not. It's just the easiest terminology that jumps to mind. My apologies. My point is, you can't pick and choose for people. You just can't. Accept that. And also accept the fact that they can't pick and choose for you. Our society has a set of laws. We all must be within those laws. I got no problem with that. You got no problem with that. We all operate within the confines of our social laws. But a Karen runs up to a guy in a parking lot and says, "Oh, you can't park here." Leave the man alone. Or woman. Leave your neighbor alone. It's none of your business where he parks his car. Unless he's got it on your lawn, okay, it's none of your business. Let another person be an individual. Allow them to respect the common courtesy of running their own life, of making their own choices, even if their choices are bad. You and I buy lakeside property next door to each other. You decide to build 5 foot from the water's edge. I decide to build 50 foot from the water's edge. So we're different. We're individuals. We see things differently. I can't control you. Even if my house is built first, I got no right to control you. If you want to build your house 5 foot from the edge of the water, go right ahead. Knock yourself out. It's none of my business. Live and let live. You cannot micromanage people. It won't work. The main example I use in this is try to tell your kid who to date. Okay. Good luck with that. Yeah. I've seen that shit try to go down my whole life. Okay. It never works out. You can't tell your kid who to date. It won't work. They're going to date whoever they damn well please. and you can just pound sand. Okay. You want to waste your time? Try to tell your kid who they can and cannot date. You cannot pick and choose for people. Leave them alone. Okay. Only fix the problems that involve you. You can't fix someone else's problems. If you're trying to micromanage other human beings, you're doomed for failure. Okay. It won't work. You cannot pick and choose for people. You have to learn to live and let live. Allow them to make their own mistakes. It's none of your business. So, my point is be patient with people, be understanding with people, be compassionate when dealing with other people. Be the sane voice in the room. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard. But you can't pick and choose for them. You cannot control them. They're going to do what they're going to do. Accept it now and get past it. Your neighbor while we have many things in common, they're still an individual. Individuals see things from different perspectives. You don't know what's going on in his life that's controlling his decisions. You just don't know. This is why you need to be understanding. Allow him to have his own perspective. Allow him to run his own life. From my life experience, this is all I can speak from. This is my own perspective. You need to just let it go. Live and let live. If your neighbor is wearing his blue jeans down 3 inches and you can see the top of his boxer shorts, leave him alone. Okay. If the neighbor on the other side is wearing a 3-piece suit with his tie tied real tight and it's 110 degrees in the shade, and you see him out trying to mow his lawn, leave him alone. Okay. Let him do whatever the hell he wants to do. It's none of your business. All right. With that said, I'm your host here at Afternoon Chat. I'm Ghost Mostly. This is my channel. Everyone is welcome here from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And I mean everyone is welcome. The only thing you can do wrong in here is not follow the community guidelines set up by YouTube. Everything else we can fix. Okay. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe if you would. For me, I would really appreciate it. If you can't do it, don't sweat it. I'm never going to hate you for it. Okay? With that said, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great day.